Walsall, Staffs. Staff City's no more, of course, but that's how I always see it in my mind's eye. The word standing proud in iron relief on a manhole cover. It's a singular place, and like Wolverhampton, George Michael, and the closing scene in Planet of the Apes, it seems willfully determined to play its part in my life. It's where I used to get my lizards in the 70s from Walsall Aquarium Reptilium. It's also the place that was once home to the greatest and perhaps the most lost of the great lost dinosaurs of the West Midlands. Behind me is the gatehouse and clock tower of the Arboretum, opened in 1874. It's suave, striking, and a little down at heel. If there's only room for 8 words on my gravestone, those will do. Walsall Arboretum's vestigial Bundy clock, echoing with the clackings and hammerings of Victorian workers punching the clock as they arrive and depart. The only time I've ever had to clock on and clock off was when I worked at a factory in Drews Holloway near Halzowen, Midland Veneer, I think it was. It's probably long since gone. And I used to walk lead-lined doors, if you can believe, to the printing press and then wrap them in brown paper with a bunch of taciturn black country souls who generally only had 2 weeks off a year. And the other thing I remember about it was that the first day I got there, I went to the toilet, and on the back of the toilet door there was a remarkably elaborate drawing of a bizarre neo-medieval hairstyle, and it said, "Paul the Press Pratt, look at his hair." Of course, that morning I was joined with none other than Paul, and his hair was exactly as represented in the drawing. Funny the things you see in a black country factory at 11 o'clock. Those particular plastic swans again that populate the lake here, Alton Towers, and I'm sure elsewhere. Tried to resist the temptation to say, and tonight we've got sessions from the particular plastic swans, but I didn't manage. Strikes me that there must be somewhere that makes those as well. I wonder what kind of a place that is, and whether Paul the Press Pratt works there. There used to be a steamboat on the lake just after it was opened. I think it was called the Lady of the Lake, and I think it sank after floods sometime in the 1880s, I'm not quite sure. A fair old while before Raymond Chandler's seminal novel of nearly the same name, anyway. And there he is, Jerome K Jerome. Not looking much like himself in my opinion, but rather looking much more like Michael Gambon in The Singing Detective. Facial features, hair, complexion, the lot. Distinguished famous son of Walsall, it says, hotly contended by those Stourbridgians like myself, as he moved to Stourbridge when he was 2. And his brother, the staggeringly named Milton Melanchthon Jerome, I don't know whether that's Melanton or Melanthron or John Cougar Mellencamp or whatever it is, but you know what I think about what you think about my pronunciation. But either way, he died when he was 6, poor little chap, and was buried behind the Congregational Church in Lower High Street, Stourbridge, just opposite the church that burnt down in 1982, where me and my friend once found an enormous stack of inflatable Santas. But that's another story. He was a fab author, that is Jerome K Jerome, not my friend, who was William Brettle, I think it was, and his middle name was Klapka. Not as good as Melanchthon, but pretty good anyway. And if you do look at him on Wikipedia, you'll see that I'm telling the truth, and that the picture of him doesn't resemble this at all, but he's stirringly Victorian, short centre parting, everything. It's a little bit like the photo of the copy of Thoughts of an Idle Fellow, one of his greats, which, when I clicked on it, got my chest heaving. It's a big Nouveau Empire, psychedelia, red and black, swirling burst of excitement. See Emily play and Rudyard Kipling and everything all rolled up into one. Whoa.
It's amazing how many people around here are called Klapka and Melanton, isn't it?
Is it?
Around Walsall, yeah.
Is it? I'll take your word for it. She was a glamorous soul, Kathleen Garman. Along with her friend Sally Ryan, they bequeathed this collection to the town of Walsall. She was a one-time member of the Bloomsbury Group, married to Jacob Epstein. Her daughter Kitty was married to Lucian Freud. You can see the whole of the 20th century swirling around her, can't you?
Going down.
Which floor, Harris?
Go to ground.
Okay, lovely to hear Noddy Holder on the voice announcement. Any other voices you'd like to hear in lifts, other than Ewan McGregor, of course?
Matt Berry would be a good
Yeah, and Richard Ayoade for that matter. Jeffrey Palmer. All the obvious associations. Lovely to hear Noddy Holder. A beautiful, rich and cultured black country accent, and not the whiny sing-song that the world associates with the place.
Going down.
To 1999, of course, the Garman Ryan collection was housed here, upstairs, on concertinaed plywood boards, or so my memory tells me. And I'm glad that it's been rehoused in a multi-million pound development, but there's a part of me that misses that stirring incongruity, trotting up the steps to be presented with such. There used to be a programme in the 80s called Gallery, a rather highbrow quiz show with teams fronted by Frank Whitford and Maggie Hambling. And they used to have a section where a provincial art gallery was shown, and the panellists used to have to guess where it was. And when it was revealed that Walsall was the site of all of the paintings that it had shown, I remember the gasps of condescension that echoed round the studio. And that was as a result of that. You would see Gauguin, Rembrandt, Van Gogh even, you know, stellar superstars of the artistic firmament pinned up in a rather temporary, transient setting. It was fabulous. It was kind of like finding the wreckage of the Titanic in a septic tank. Not that I'm likening the building behind me to a septic tank. And there behind me, where the pigeons now roost, is the boarded up facade of the Imperial, where once, back in the 1990s, there was, would you believe it ladies and gentlemen, a 100-foot long papier-mâché brontosaurus spanning the entire length of the cinema Come Witherspoons. Its head popped up over the balcony while you were drinking. It is arguably the greatest and unarguably the most lost of all the great lost dinosaurs of the West Midlands. There is nary a trace of it on the internet, no matter how many pages you go back. Not a mention, not an image. I like to think it went somewhere, like Brigadoon, and that it's now rematerialising in the dark. And you don't need the internet to tell you that those staggering deco lions are the work of Lavender, Twentyman and Percy. Sublime counterpoint to the equally beautiful elephants of Wolverhampton. They're so good, the whole town ought to be configured around them, rather than forgotten on the edge of the skyline, above the shops and bank fronts. I wonder how many people look up and see them.
Something almost Babylonian about them, like the Ishtar Gate or something.
Yeah, they combine so many things, don't they? They're hugely emblematic of deco in that sense. They're a little bit Egyptian, a little bit African, a little bit sci-fi, a little bit New York. Fantastic. Sorry about the New York there. St Matthew's Church, standing proudly atop the marketplace. It's a magnificent building inside and out, but it keeps funny hours, a little bit like the chip shop near Bramall Lane Stadium in Sheffield, and the so-called convenience store at the end of Leslie Road in Park Village in Wolverhampton, where they used to refuse to sell you anything at all, and in fact deny any knowledge of anything's existence until you pointed it out on the shelves behind them. But I digress. As it's closed, I can't show you the ancient crypt or the magnificent vaulted ceiling. It's a thing of great beauty, red, with the vaults picked out, cusped and pedimented. But there's nothing stopping you coming out having a look yourself, is there? Don't let the sliding doors fool you. The Victorian arcade in Walsall is authentically just that. A lot of its original shop fronts and glazes intact. It's a thing of beauty. It's also the first place where I ever heard the term arcade in reference to covered shopping.
thought you said you were going to dress in your Walsall urban casuals today.
Yeah, I am. This is my urban casual.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that was your Walsall University alma mater blazer.
No. Does it not look urban or casual?
It might do in Cambridge.
I've miscalculated, haven't I?
Again.